Welcome to Reflect with Ed Fassio. Get ready to experience one of the world's first 100% digitally generated podcasts, where we take a step back, dive deep, and strive to learn new things. Join us as we unpack thought-provoking ideas, personal reflections, and inspiring stories to help you stay in the know. Reflect is brought to you by the minds at ByteBrain and powered by emerging technologies from Google, HeyGen, OpenAI, and 11 Labs. Thanks for tuning in. Now, relax and prepare to reflect.
Welcome to Reflect, one of the world's first 100% AI-generated podcasts. Today, we're diving deep into the work of Jorge Luis Borges.
Borges.
This Argentine writer whose stories and essays are, well, they're more relevant now than ever.
You know, it's fascinating how this guy, writing way back in the mid-20th century, managed to capture something essential about our relationship with knowledge. It's like he had this uncanny premonition of the digital age.
It's seriously mind-blowing. So, for those unfamiliar, Borges was this literary giant known for his short stories, essays, and poetry.
Yeah.
He was practically raised in a library.
A library. Wow.
Speaking both Spanish and English from childhood.
That upbringing absolutely shaped his work. You see this fusion of cultures and literary traditions, this deep engagement with philosophical ideas. It's all there in his writing.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so before we get into the digital age connection, let's set the stage. What were some of the works and achievements that put Borges on the literary map?
Well, you can't discuss Borges without mentioning collections like Ficciones.
Oh, love that one.
And The Aleph.
Okay.
These are packed with mind-bending stories about infinity, labyrinths, the very nature of reality.
Whoa.
It's heady stuff, but so captivating.
And get this, Borges was also the director of the National Library of Argentina.
Oh, wow.
Talk about a perfect fit for a writer obsessed with knowledge and libraries.
Right. It's as if life imitated art. That position probably fueled his fascination with the sheer scale and complexity of information.
Okay, so here's where things get really interesting. Borges was writing long before the internet exploded onto the scene, yet his work seems to foreshadow so much of what we experience in the digital world.
It's eerie, almost. His exploration of vast libraries, branching narratives, and constructed realities, it all resonates so strongly with our modern digital lives.
Let's unpack some of those connections. First up, the Library of Babel, one of Borges's most famous stories.
Oh, classic.
It's about this vast, maybe even infinite library that contains every possible book.
Oh, no.
Every combination of letters, every story ever told, every bit of nonsense you can imagine, it's all in there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine walking through endless hexagonal rooms.
Endless.
Each filled with towering bookshelves.
So towering.
But here's the catch.
Okay.
Most of these books are just gibberish.
Gibberish.
Random strings of characters.
Sounds like my spam folder.
Huh. Well, there is a chilling parallel to the internet. We're constantly bombarded with information, but how much of it is truly meaningful? How do we sift through the noise and find what's valuable? Borges was grappling with this dilemma decades before we even had search engines.
It's like he understood this fundamental human struggle.
Yeah.
We crave knowledge, we want to make sense of the world, but the sheer volume of information can be paralyzing.
In the Library of Babel, the librarians dedicate their lives to searching for meaning within this chaotic library.
Really?
Some descend into madness, others cling to faith. But ultimately, they're all confronted with the overwhelming vastness of knowledge and the limitations of human understanding.
Right.
It's a powerful metaphor for our own digital age, where we're constantly sifting through data, trying to find the signal in the noise.
I think everyone listening can relate to that feeling of being lost in the digital maze.
Yeah.
So if the Library of Babel is about information overload, what other Borges stories connect to our digital experiences? I know you mentioned branching narratives earlier.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
We can't forget the Garden of Forking Paths.
Oh, yeah.
This story practically screams hypertext, even though Borges wrote it way before the internet was a twinkle in anyone's eye.
For those who might not be tech savvy, what exactly is hypertext?
Think of it as the foundation of the web.
Okay.
It's the system of interconnected links that allow us to jump from one web page to another,
Right.
creating a non-linear way of reading and exploring information.
So how does this relate to the Garden of Forking Paths? Give us the juicy details.
Well, the story itself is structured like a labyrinth where choices lead to different outcomes,
Outcomes.
different paths through the narrative.
Right.
Each decision branches out, creating a network of possibilities.
Right.
Just like clicking a link online can send you down a completely different path of information, the characters in Borges' story face a constant forking of possibilities, each choice altering the course of the narrative.
It's like Borges predicted how we consume information online. We click a link,
Totally.
then another, and suddenly we're 3 hours deep into a Wikipedia rabbit hole, miles away from where we started.
Precisely. And that feeling of getting delightfully lost in the maze, that's a key part of the digital experience.
I love that.
It's also a testament to Borges' understanding of the human mind, how we make connections, follow tangents, and forge our own unique paths through information.
Okay, so we've got infinite libraries and forking paths.
Yeah.
What other digital parallels can we find in Borges' work? What about that story you mentioned where a fictional world starts bleeding into reality?
You're talking about Toulon, Ukbar, Orbis Tertius.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, that one's a real doozy. Buckle up.
Hit me with it. I'm all ears.
Imagine a secret society creating a fictional world called Tlun.
A fictional world.
They meticulously craft its history, languages, even its laws of physics.
Oh.
It's like a massive collaborative world-building project,
Okay.
but with a dark twist.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's the twist?
As knowledge of Toulon spreads, it starts to seep into the real world.
No way.
Objects, concepts, even ways of thinking from this fictional world begin to materialize, blurring the lines between what's real and what's imagined.
Hold on, is this sounding a little too familiar to anyone else?
It's like Borges was peering into a crystal ball and seeing the rise of virtual reality, the metaverse, and the increasingly blurry lines between our online and offline lives.
Seriously, we're spending more and more time in digital spaces, creating avatars, building virtual worlds.
Right.
Are we, in a sense, creating our own Tlun? And how is that impacting our perception of reality?
These are questions that Borges was grappling with decades ago. He understood the power of imagination, how fictional worlds can shape our beliefs and behaviors.
Right.
And in the digital age, that power is amplified tenfold.
This is blowing my mind. So far, we've uncovered some pretty profound connections between Borges' work and the digital age.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
Really?
There's so much more to explore in Borges' vast literary landscape.
We'll dive deeper in just a moment. But first, a quick message from our sponsors.
Business owners, listen up. Partnering with Reflect to create a custom episode is seriously next level. Studies show that 92% of consumers prefer brand stories over traditional ads, and storytelling boosts brand recall by up to 22x. Imagine building a unique arc around your brand that really connects. Reflect is disrupting how brands go to market, reaching a global audience with storytelling that sticks. Ready to move beyond typical ads and make an impact? Head to reflectpodcast.com for more info and book a free consultation. They're telling the future. Are you in it?
Welcome back to Reflect. Before we took a short break, we were discussing how Jorge Luis Borges, a writer who predates the internet, seemed to anticipate many facets of our digital lives.
Yeah, it's pretty freaky how this guy, writing in a time of typewriters and libraries, managed to tap into something so fundamental about how we experience information in the digital age.
It's more than just coincidence. Borges was deeply interested in systems of organization, classification, and retrieval. He understood that the way we access knowledge shapes our understanding of the world. He even served as the director of the National Library of Argentina, so he was immersed in these ideas.
Speaking of libraries, we were talking about how Borges' Library of Babel is a chilling premonition of the internet, this vast ocean of information where it's so easy to get lost. But there's another key theme in his work that we haven't touched on yet, the concept of the labyrinth.
Ah, yes, the labyrinth. It's one of the most potent symbols in Borges' writing, representing the complexities of knowledge, the search for meaning, and the often disorienting experience of navigating a world overflowing with information.
I can definitely see how the internet, with its billions of web pages and interconnected links, could be seen as a kind of digital labyrinth. But how does Borges' concept of the labyrinth go beyond that?
For Borges, the labyrinth wasn't just about getting lost. It was about the journey itself, the process of exploration, and the possibility of discovery. He saw the labyrinth as a metaphor for the human mind, with its intricate pathways and hidden chambers.
So it's not just about finding the right answer or the perfect piece of information. It's about the act of searching, of making connections, of venturing down those winding paths.
Exactly. And I think that's a really important lesson for us in the digital age. It's so easy to get caught up in the pursuit of the right answer, the perfect solution. We want instant gratification, quick answers, easy solutions. But sometimes the most valuable insights come from the process of exploration itself, from allowing ourselves to wander down those unexpected paths, to embrace the possibility of getting lost.
It's like giving yourself permission to get lost in the digital labyrinth,
Yes.
knowing that you might stumble upon something truly amazing that you would have never found if you just stuck to the main path.
Precisely. Think about how many times you've gone on a Wikipedia deep dive and ended up learning something fascinating that was completely unrelated to your original search. That's the beauty of the labyrinth. It's not always about finding what you're looking for, it's about being open to the unexpected.
But isn't there a risk of getting too lost, of becoming so overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information that you lose sight of what you were searching for in the first place?
There's always that risk. And Borges was certainly aware of it. He wrote about the anxiety of information overload, the fear of drowning in a sea of data. He understood that the labyrinth can be a dangerous place filled with dead ends and false promises. But he also recognized that knowledge is power, and that the ability to navigate the labyrinth, to discern the valuable from the trivial, is essential for making sense of the world.
So it's a delicate balance, embracing the joy of exploration while also being mindful of the potential pitfalls of information overload. It sounds like Borges was wrestling with some pretty profound questions about the nature of knowledge itself.
Absolutely, and those questions are even more relevant today in the digital age where we have access to an unprecedented amount of information. It's up to us to develop those critical thinking skills, the discernment necessary to navigate this increasingly complex landscape.
And that's where Borges' insights become so valuable. He was a literary trailblazer, forging paths through these dense philosophical thickets long before the internet even existed.
Exactly. He offers us a framework for thinking about the challenges and opportunities of the digital age. He encourages us to embrace the vastness and complexity of the digital world, but also to be wary of the potential pitfalls of information overload.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the intellectual and philosophical side of Borges' work, but I want to touch on something else that I find fascinating about him, his sense of wonder. Even when he's writing about these mind-bending topics like infinity and the nature of reality, there's this playfulness, this childlike curiosity that shines through.
I couldn't agree more. It's like he never lost that sense of awe of being amazed by the mysteries of the universe. And that's something I think we could all use a little more of in our digital lives.
Especially when it feels like the internet is constantly trying to suck the joy out of everything.
Exactly. But Borges reminds us that there's beauty and mystery in the digital labyrinth. He encourages us to approach it with a sense of adventure, to embrace the unknown, and to allow ourselves to be surprised and delighted by what we find.
It's like remembering to see the internet as a playground, not just a battlefield, a place where we can explore, learn, connect, and even create.
And that's a powerful message, especially in these times when it's so easy to get bogged down by the negativity and the overwhelm.
So in a way, reading Borges is like receiving a guidebook for navigating the digital age.
It's a guidebook that reminds us to cultivate curiosity, embrace the unknown, and never lose sight of the wonder that lies hidden within the labyrinth of knowledge, both digital and analog.
We'll continue our exploration of Borges' insights in just a moment. But first, let's take a quick break.
If you run a small food business, listen up. For local spots like yours, telling your story is everything. Did you know that 73% of people feel more connected to a business with a story behind it? Reflect can help you share what makes your restaurant or cafe special, from your unique menu to the heart and soul behind your space. Move beyond ordinary ads. With Reflect, you'll get a custom AI-driven narrative that connects your story with a global audience in a way they'll remember. Ready to make your mark? Head to reflectpodcast.com to book a free consultation. They're telling the future. Are you in it?
It's kind of crazy how easy it is to feel lost these days.
Yeah.
Even with like all the information in the world at our fingertips,
It's a total paradox, right? Drowning in data, but always thirsty for more. It's like, what are we even searching for?
Yeah, like this constant information overload.
Sure.
You're just bombarded with headlines and notifications,
Yeah.
never really feeling satisfied. It's exhausting.
I think Borges really understood that feeling.
Really?
Yeah, that anxiety of trying to grasp like the infinite with our limited human brains.
Yeah.
He was always exploring that struggle,
Right.
finding meaning in the chaos of knowledge.
He was dealing with this way back when, right?
Oh, yeah.
Mid-20th century.
Hmm.
Before the internet and social media blew everything up.
Exactly. Long before all that. Think back to the Library of Babel.
Okay.
Those librarians desperately searching for truth in that massive, chaotic library.
Right.
Kind of feels like us today, endlessly scrolling, trying to find something real, something true.
In all that digital noise.
Exactly. It's like we're all stuck in that library now.
Oh, wow.
Except our library is, well, the internet.
And the more we consume, the more we realize we don't know.
Right.
It can be overwhelming.
Totally overwhelming, even paralyzing.
So what can we do? What did Borges think?
Well, he wouldn't say just unplug,
Okay.
or retreat from the world.
So what's the answer then?
Right.
How do we navigate this digital labyrinth without,
Losing our minds.
Yeah.
He believed in knowledge, in engaging with ideas.
Right.
Even when they're tough, even uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But he also always said, be critical.
Critical.
Yeah, approach information with, curiosity, but also skepticism. You got to figure out what's actually valuable and what's just noise.
So it's not just about, taking it all in, but really thinking about it.
Yeah, question what you see online,
Don't just believe everything at face value.
Exactly. We need to be active participants in constructing knowledge. Wow.
Recognizing that truth, well, it's always changing, evolving. What might seem true today could be challenged tomorrow.
So instead of searching for some ultimate truth, we should just embrace the journey.
Yeah, the journey of discovery. And that journey, well, it means being willing to get lost sometimes.
I guess so.
Wandering down those unexpected paths, being open to new perspectives.
Even if they challenge what we think we know.
Exactly. That's where growth happens, when we encounter different viewpoints.
It's like friction creates sparks.
Yeah, it's in those moments of friction that we really learn and grow.
So navigating the digital age, it's kind of like reading a Borges story.
I like that.
You have to be ready to get lost in the labyrinth, embrace the ambiguity.
Right.
You might not come out with all the answers, but
you'll understand the world a little bit better.
a richer, more nuanced understanding.
Beautifully put. And, we can't forget that sense of wonder that Borges had.
Yeah.
That joy of discovery, that thrill of encountering new ideas. I think we need more of that these days.
I agree. It's easy to get bogged down, right? All the negativity, the overload.
Absolutely. So, to wrap things up,
Yeah.
to everyone listening, when you're feeling overwhelmed by the digital world, remember Borges. Embrace the labyrinth. Be curious. And don't be afraid to get lost.
You never know what you might find.
And that concludes our deep dive into Borges and the digital age. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey.
In the cyber ocean of online voices and recycled content, something different has arrived. Reflect isn't just another podcast, it's the future of storytelling, powered entirely by AI. From curating data to assembling thought-provoking ideas, we've redefined how journeys are told. Reflect is a podcast that thinks, learns, and evolves with each episode. Every tale, every insight, crafted by the most advanced AI technologies. A podcast that disrupts the industry, breaking free from traditional formats, taking you on an entirely new experience. So tune in now and reflect. We're telling the future.